How do I find the right lawyer? In this video series, I will answer this question by answering 7 constituent questions.
This is Christian attorney Ariel Johnson, lawforlife.us. The purpose of this channel is to make the law accessible to real people. So if you find the information in this video helpful, please subscribe and share it with other individuals. Also, I want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel thus far. Please feel free to send me questions or make suggestions about other videos that you'd like to see us do. Now on to the topic of this video. Question number 1, do I need a lawyer? Well, in many cases, hiring a lawyer is a rite of passage. For example, when people are doing estate plans or starting a new business, or sometimes when a loved one dies and you need to open a probate estate. Also, many people unfortunately are sued or need to sue someone to protect a legal right, in which case you have to consider whether or not you can represent yourself or should you seek legal counsel. So the simple answer to the first question, when do I need a lawyer, is if you have to ask, then you probably need to talk to a lawyer. Question number 2, can I handle my own legal problem? As I've indicated many places in the different videos that I've done on this channel, you have a right to represent yourself in court, and many people elect to do so. First are the category of cases in which you probably should not represent yourself. In fact, I would strongly urge you not to represent yourself and to seek competent legal counsel. And the most obvious one is when you've been charged with a criminal offense. As I've indicated many times in these videos, representing yourself in a criminal matter is ill-advised. However, there are a narrow area of cases in which you could represent yourself. For example, many landlord-tenant actions. Sometimes the tenant is best suited to represent themselves in those matters. Also, sometimes simple small claims cases where you have a dispute with a neighbor or with someone who may owe you a sum of money. Other cases where people may represent themselves without much risk are cases in which you are alleging a violation of a consumer protection statute. For example, when you buy a product that was not as advertised. These are fairly low-risk cases in which you could represent yourself. But even in so doing, I would strongly urge that you consider unbundled legal services. Unbundled legal services, sometimes referred to as unbundling, is also known as limited scope representation, a la carte legal services, discrete task representation, or disaggregated legal services. All of these terms refer to a process whereby you hire a lawyer to do a very limited job for you. And sometimes the job can be reviewing pleadings or advising you as to the proper course of action. Many lawyers will provide you unbundled services, although not every lawyer is comfortable doing that. However, it's perfectly ethical for a lawyer to do that. In fact, the American Bar Association's Model Rule for Professional Conduct, specifically Rule 1.2c, expressly allows for unbundling legal services. The rule says that a lawyer may limit the scope of representation if the limitation is reasonable under the circumstances and the client gives informed consent. And unbundled services include things like drafting pleadings or documents, or even a proposed order for you. It could be reviewing a pleading or document or a proposed order. It could be analyzing and producing illustrations of potential financial outcomes. For example, if you wanted to find out what the projected alimony would be in a domestic relations or divorce case, or what the child support projection is in your state. Lawyers who provide unbundled legal services can also do role playing for you. For example, helping you actually go through an evidentiary hearing. An evidentiary hearing is really when you're trying to get the judge to look at something that's pertinent to your case. It could be a document, it could be a recording, or it could simply be the testimony of a witness. A lawyer providing unbundled legal services can also help you with strategy and also some of the courtroom do's and don'ts. He or she may also be willing to do a limited appearance for you, which is to say, they may be willing to appear at a particular hearing for you, but they would not represent you for the entire matter. And finally, an unbundled legal service provider could also help you in negotiating with the other side to hopefully help you resolve the matter without having to go to court. Now, 41 states in the Republic, including the District of Columbia, have adopted this rule virtually word for word. And some states have actually modified it. But the bottom line is that before you actually file a lawsuit on your own, or if you've been sued and you want to know more about what your rights are or what the potential liabilities are, if you're not able or willing to hire a lawyer at this time, you should certainly consider unbundled legal services. Next, before you consider representing yourself, you should answer yes to all of the following questions. Number 1, can I think objectively about my case? I'm sure everyone has heard the saying that he who represents himself has a fool for a client, and part of the reason for that is, aside from needing to know the law, many people are unable to separate themselves from the emotions attached to their case. You see this most often in child custody matters and in divorces, where the parties are too emotionally involved to be able to think objectively about their case. And being able to think objectively about your case is important, because without that, emotions like fear and anger could cloud your judgment and cause you to make a fatal error. Question number 2, am I willing to invest the time and effort necessary to research and understand the substantive law and the procedural law connected to and necessary to win this case? And third, which is connected closely to the first question, is can I disengage emotionally from my case? What happens very often in lawsuits is that the other side will make an outrageous claim against you, or sometimes they will outright lie. Lying under oath is something that happens more frequently than people might realize in court, and some judges even refer to it as test-a-lying. So if you're representing yourself and you're intimately familiar with the facts of your case, and the other side is presenting evidence that's either fabricated or blatantly false, are you able to keep a cool head and figure out exactly how you're going to unwind or dismantle or impeach the evidence that's being offered to the court? If you're angry and you're upset, chances are you're not going to be objective about it, and you're going to probably end up speaking out of turn and invoking the ire of the judge. While thinking objectively involves both looking at the strengths and weaknesses of your case, which you may not be able to see if you're convinced that you're right, disengaging emotionally is being able to keep your cool, to plan your work, and to work to plan throughout the case. So if you're unable to answer yes to all 3 of those questions, then you can't represent yourself. And you need to hire someone who can be objective and is willing to put in the work necessary to understand the law and to effectively prosecute your case, and who can remain emotionally disengaged because that's their job. But at the risk of overstating a point, even if you can't answer yes to all of those questions, you really should consider seeking unbundled legal services just to test the waters and to make sure you're on the right track. Well, that's it for this video. If you find this video helpful in any way, please share it with others. Also, consider subscribing to the channel so that you can be notified when we produce new videos. As I've indicated before, the purpose of this channel is to make the law accessible to real people and not just the exclusive province of attorneys.
Thank you for watching. We profess the truth that we can do nothing without God. God bless.